This transition from us doing the intellectual heavy lifting to computers doing it, or machines doing it, you would have probably referred to sometimes as the singularity.
Yeah.
Or you've heard that like word banded around.
The technological singularity.
Yeah. Which is a cool word.
It is a cool word.
I mean, phrase.
That word pops up a few times throughout like the sciences.
It does.
It's the cool word. Singularity.
But the basic concept behind the technological singularity is that it's a point in our technological development in which events become unpredictable, potentially unfathomable to humans as we now understand the world, as we now know humans.
Yeah.
So in the same way that like a singularity in a black hole has like an event horizon you can't see past, it's kind of a similar kind of analogy to that. You get to a technological singularity and you can't see, you don't have no idea of predicting what happens after it, because whatever happens after it is so much more, it's so different, it's so much more advanced, like orders of magnitude potentially more advanced.
Yeah. So it's a point beyond which it's impossible to predict or even really imagine what the future holds beyond that point.
You'll have heard other various definitions of like what constitutes a technological singularity. You might have heard people say like the merge of brains and computers, like human consciousness and computers.
Yeah, which seems a bit muddy. Seems a bit like
that's not really. I don't think that's like the proper definition. But I've definitely heard people say the technological singularity is a point where brains and machines will merge.
I mean, that is something that's very difficult to imagine what it would be like after. Yeah. But the thing is, it's only one possible outcome of the technological singularity.
Exactly. Yeah. That might be like a feature of the technological singularity.
Yes. But the kind of like, it's usually tied to this thing of recursive self-improvement.
Yeah. So the technological singularity is directly related to AI. Yeah. Really. I mean, well, yes, it is related to AI. Yeah. Absolutely directly related to AI.
It's where you get to a point where technology, specifically intelligent systems like software and stuff, is capable of actually learning about its environment, but not just self-learning, but actually being able to go back and redesign itself to be better at learning.
Exactly. Yeah. So it can either recode itself to make its software like smarter, more intelligent, and therefore it gets better at doing that process and going back and making it better. So you get an exponential increase in intelligence. Yeah. Or it does the thing where it basically is able to somehow interact with the physical environment and can build like machines as part of itself that make it like give it more processing power, and the machines get better and better and better. So it's one of those two or both of them probably. Yeah.
So you end up the fact that it's capable of going back and being like, okay, like I've learned this stuff and this is how I make myself better at learning the next stuff or whatever. Like you get that it turns into a feedback that turns into a runaway intelligence explosion, and that's why it's so difficult or impossible to predict what will happen, because we don't know how quickly that will happen. The acceleration of that could be absolutely like mental fast.
Yes.
So it's this idea that there's this point coming at which that as soon as that initiation happens of something that's capable of doing that we end up going through this intelligence explosion.
Yes.
That's the concept. That's the kind of concept of the technological singularity.
And we say it's coming. I mean, the predictions that there's a bunch of different like sort of dates that people suggest the technological singularity could happen. But they all exist this century. Yeah. Which is nuts. Which is scary.
Yeah.
And awesome.
Yeah, it's both scary and awesome.
Yeah, because the potential outcomes are both scary or awesome.
Yeah.
So the mean date amongst, I think, like high-end AI experts in their field is 2050, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And 2040 for a more general kind of poll.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people will obviously have read the Timmerman's Wait But Why post on AI.
And if you haven't, go read it, because it's friggin'
really,
awesome.
Really good. It's a very, very good, like, it's a very introduction. I mean, it is it's very, very detailed, well-written,
it's one of the best
in-depth introductions.
It's one of the best kind of popular science articles I've ever read.
Yeah, for sure. It's really, really good. And in that, he goes into a lot of detail about these kind of predictions for when the singularity might happen. And like when I read that, I had no idea that they were so like soon. I knew that there were some people predicting that it was soon, but I didn't realize that was the consensus like prediction.
Yes.
That it was going to be not just this century, but like within a few decades of now.
Yeah.
Like not like 2092 or something, but like 2050 is the mean date for this.
Think about that. We'll live to that.
Yeah.
Unless we die early from something.
Yeah.
I mean, that might happen.
Yeah, sure, it might happen.
Yeah, don't care.
Building might fall down in like a minute or something. I don't know.
Oh Christ!
Yeah, it's a pretty old building.
There's no earthquakes here. Those were good.
Yeah, but don't you feel the ground shaking every time a truck drives past?
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
yeah, it's a big dodge. But anyway, so as long as that doesn't happen, and like a million other things don't happen,
okay. So presuming we live to like an average kind of old age,
it will be within our lifetimes. This mean
this predicted date.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it might not.
You have to go back. You have to take that with a slight pinch of salt in the fact that people are predicting this since like the 50s and stuff, like the 60s, when like Turing machines, like computers were starting to be built. People were like, oh yeah, we're gonna have like human level intelligence in machines within like 20 years back then. And these things always get pushed back, and predictions. Like people realize it's much harder than it actually.
Like nuclear fusion, it's always 30 years away.
Yeah, but maybe there are good reasons to be sort of thinking that it is close now, or closer. Yeah. A lot of things seem to be moving in a sort of common direction. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of acceleration in the areas.
I mean, there's a theory that human development is exponential anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That it basically gets easier and easier to get better and better technology.
Mm-hmm.
Now that. People say it happens in like a step fashion. So you get like a sudden like revolutionary piece of technology that increases it really quickly. That matures, takes some time, and then you get another breakthrough and it increases very quickly. But some people argue that there isn't an exponential increase in human technology, just in like certain types of human technology. Like for example, we've had Moore's law running for a good while now on like computing power.
Yeah. But it's actually going through like a deceleration at the moment.
It is, yeah. Exactly. So
that's possibly going to plateau.
Yes. And so people like Ray Kurvitz, or whatever his name is, say that Moore's law is just at the current time, or was at the current time, like one of the proxy measurements for this exponential curve.
Yeah, sure.
And that something else will then begin like exponentially increasing as the computers tail off in another way, or something like that.
So when you actually take a step back...
So you go back to like cathode rays and all these other technologies before, you still see exponential increases, but they all tail off and get superseded by something else.
So when you kind of scale back and consider like human technological advancement as a whole, not just like information technology or like transport or anything like that, but just like everything... Yeah. Then all these step changes and plateaus average out to something like an accelerating increase. That at least that's the argument that people like Ray Kurvitz or Kurzweil or whatever put forward.
Yes,
which is I can see that. You can see these overlapping trends of exponential growth in technologies.
You can, but yes, you can.
And they trigger each other and stuff as well. Like
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what computers have helped us with everything, understanding everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's loads of other proxy measurements for like DNA, increasing like sequencing technology, saying that sequencing technology gets, I think it like halves in cost and gets twice as accurate, or does twice as much throughput every X number of years or something. And they will follow these cyclical kind of.
Yeah, and it might be that to get to the technological singularity, you need like not just advances in like an exponential growth of IT, of information technology, but also like materials science and stuff like this to build the kind of hardware that you need, possibly. We'll reach like processing limits of like what silicon can do and stuff like that.
Yes. Yes, you need to build new types of computers that run on different things. Other innovations that aren't just like how much transistors you can cram onto a piece of silicon will take hold as more important. Yeah. Or necessary because we can't keep cramming these things on because they get to a certain size and are useless. I can't remember the exact definition of Moore's law.
Is it doubling?
Is it doubling the number of transitions on like a dot?
Yeah, it's something like that every 2 years.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly either.
But it gets problematic because as everything gets smaller, the atoms basically can't move through these gates and stuff. You get to the point where you're like working with things that are the size of the
atom size almost, exactly. And then you're done. You can't go any smaller than that.
And it becomes harder and harder. So you'll see these advancements in like the size, like the nanometer technology. So how big manufacturing is. So I think like Intel's on like, can't remember, 12 nanometers or something like that. But it's taken there's 40 nanometers maybe.
I mean that's tiny.
I
It's
can't
absolutely
remember exactly where they are now.
ridiculously
But
small.
those jumps in size on those dice were much faster a few years back, like 10 or 20 years back.
Yeah.
Every jump was coming much quicker, and now they're starting to be harder and harder to reach.
Which means that particular proxy for human
Slows it
growth
then
is plateauing.
plateaus out.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that human technological growth is plateauing.
No.
But it almost certainly doesn't mean that.
No. Yeah. So the singularity and this kind of explosion of human development is like a debated thing. It's not like a dead set kind of. Not everyone is consensually agreeing on this. But it does seem like human technology does go through these kind of explosions. These kind of I mean, Tim Urban in his article pointed out that it was like between 1984 and 2000 there was like a much smaller change than there was from 2000 to now or something like that. And I can I think I agree with that. It depends.
Think so.
But the other thing is that like you get certain technologies that affect what our normal daily lives more than other technological breakthroughs. So for example, in the last few years we had a huge breakthrough in internet. In the last like 10, 20 years we had a massive breakthrough in the internet, smartphones, the miniaturization of process, all these types of things, and that had like a massive impact in how we consume it and like consume media, communicate, everything. Whereas in the since that, I suppose that hasn't changed that much from like 2010 till now, in the sense that it's matured and like Facebook and everyone's, it's just like a thing that's like in the background now, and everyone has a smartphone, but everyone has a smartphone in 2010. So it's kind of like that's it plateauing. You can feel it plateauing, but then there will be like another jump in kind of how we interact with technology or types of technology that will happen. Probably, I mean, VR may be one of the ones, is like a thing that people are talking about. And
could be the next.
That will be the next thing that you'll notice as a kind of like layperson, as a person who's just not working in like a specific field. These waves of exponential increases in and big changes in our daily lives governed by technology happen in like bursts, but they don't happen like every 5 years. And so, for example, in the last 5 years, although smartphones have been the same, they've been. I mean, they get faster.
Better. I know what you mean. But they're performing the same
like
jobs.
Exactly. They're not that different in terms of our experience of using them. But like, there's been
shinier,
a huge change in like sequencing technology in that time.
Which DNA sequencing technology.
Which you don't hear about if you're not in like those areas doing that research. So
like orders of magnitude. It's just insane how the advances that have been made in the last 10 years in that.
In the last like 3 years.
You're right.
So. That sometimes it seems like technology slows down and goes again, but like there's loads of different like huge increases in technology and jumps happening all over the place. That are not so noticeable, and I don't know. It just seems like there's more kind of things happening, more advancements. Everything's moving in like a kind of faster and faster direction, it seems to me. Just like qualitatively, I don't really know.
But that doesn't necessarily, on the face of it, I agree with all of that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we can predict from that the singularity is at 2050.
No, but what it does mean though is that you if there is an exponential increase happening, is that like things that seem very far away, very far in the future, are going to come at us faster and faster and faster. So they seem like they're like a million miles away until they're basically get to
like tomorrow.
Until they're tomorrow. Exactly.
And that's probably what's going to happen with this.
That's the prediction with the singularity, is that you have that like we're almost like in a runaway kind of intelligence, kind of like technological advancement. And the technological singularity seems like a totally like nebulous idea. And then like 5 years from it happening, it's holy shit, like the whole of like society's being run by like AIs and everything's kind of, and then like
how has this happened? Like how the hell has this happened? This is crazy. Like 5 years ago we were all just sitting around talking about this happening in like 100 years, and now it's here. You can imagine like a graph. I mean, it's not very good talking about this kind of stuff without it being a visual aid, but like a graph of like human progress, like arbitrarily on one side.
So there's one in that Wait But Why.
So human progress up the vertical axis, and then like time along, and like the jump between now and AI is like massive on the progress bar. But because of this exponential curve or this accelerating curve, like the time that it takes to get from now to that point is like much shorter than you might think, based on how much of an advance it actually is.